Welcome to CVM Rally Team. I am Tyler. We are sponsored by Clark's Corvair Parts. I was going to do an episode here about what happened at Press On Regardless Rally. We did 500 miles of gravel roads with this thing. Do a little inspection on the lift and see what's wrong with it, what we can fix. And we have a bigger problem right now. At POR we noticed there was a weird fuel smell sometimes, and we couldn't figure out if it was after fueling or what was going on. There were no obvious drips anywhere, but we did get this kind of weird spray, and we didn't know if that was oil or what that was. Didn't make a whole lot of sense, but today I was at the gas station. I had the engine on and the engine cover open, and I definitely saw what's going on. Let me show you. I am afraid of my car burning down, so we are going to unhook the battery, and yikes. The short story is that Clark's is working on a new fuel pump that should be the best fuel pump available for a Corvair. I am a guy who likes to keep it stock. I find it's a lot easier, everything works a little bit better. I ended up buying a Delphi fuel pump off of the internet, and it's about 2 months old, and it's doing that. So we're gonna check out that. I got a warranty fuel pump. Because apparently the fuel pump cannot last more than 1,000 miles, which is just insane to me. Got one last one, I think, on the bottom here. Is that a 1/2 inch? Come out straight out now. Okay, cool. Fuel pump out. We had a lot of discussion in one of the members only videos on this channel about the fuel pumps and why the fuel pump is failing. So the big issue is, let's just drain this out. The big issue is that the fuel pump rod here is too long, and it's going up and deforming the main diaphragm too much. Main diaphragm breaks, and then the fuel sprays out the top. So what is the big problem with that? One of my members, Sam, gave me a good tip to say, you know, these rods here that come out of the fuel pump on the reproduction pumps you can get on the online retailers are actually too long. And if we go look at the new one that I got, this is the replacement for the, same part number replacement. It's obviously the same length, same thing. So they're consistent, at least. And then we compare that to the fuel pump that was on the car. You can see the problem. The fuel pump rod here is way too long on the new pumps. So that means that it is deforming the diaphragm even when it's sitting still, and it's deforming even further when it actually pumps up. So the solution here is to cut this one down. We got to figure out how far to cut it down, and let's measure it here. About 5.5. Yeah, pretty close. And this one's more like 10.5. So this one is actually, the new ones you can get online are actually 5 millimeters too long on the push rod. Let's fix that. All right, we have our 5.5 millimeters. Edges slightly beveled, and I polished that top off. Next thing is a solution to a problem I've had on the Sonnet as well, and that is that the top bolts come loose and then they start leaking around the sides. And I didn't have this problem, but I want to prevent it from happening in the future if it does. So the deal is to take each bolt out individually, put Loctite on it, put it back in, do the next one, do the next one, do the next one, and that way they won't back themselves out. There we go, about half hour later we have a fuel pump that has been converted from random whatever China wants to make into something that should actually fit the vehicle and be able to plug in and work correctly. We'll box up the used part, send that back for warranty, and I'm going to include a picture in the box of the stock pump compared to the one that they sent me so they know what they did wrong. fire the engine. Oh, battery almost died. Something about these wires, I don't know. Sometimes they get kind of unplugged. I'm not sure why. Okay, with that all hooked up, let's try it again. Belt looks super loose. I guess to narrow this problem down a little bit, I'm going to take it for a little drive, see if it will warm up and get better. Maybe that'll help me diagnose what's going on. Sounds like it's missing again. Part of my rite of passage for getting the Corvair on the road was to swap my ham radio plates over to it, and I decided that not only that, I promised myself that I would get this plate frame from the Rally Superstore. It is a Rally joke. If you're a Rally person, you'll get it. Tabs were good till like 4 days from now, so I got to get some plates on this thing before I do anything else. Let's pop them on. Very nerdy. I like it. Next step here is to clean the car off and lock my pants in the door. So I want to start at the bottom. We'll let that drip off and we can wash the top of it while the bottom dries out. Let's take a look at what's going on underneath this car after press on regardless. We still have all kinds of oily leak crap on the steering box. Our suspension looks pretty good still. Got some rust on the tie rod already. That's not fun. Rust over here again. I'll have to oil coat this thing before winter. Got rust on the fuel tank strap already. And otherwise, our floorboard is looking really good.
Yeah, that one's ticking more, but they're both ticking. That one is much worse.
We're going to talk about the tick. All the grommets seem to be kind of doing their jobs, but my short pan isn't sealing very well. I guess that's why it has the drain holes. We got a fiberglass job in here. I had trouble finding it. That's how unobtrusive it is, from this angle at least. But still got to do that floor pan in the future. Not going to do it this winter. Everything looks like it's in place. This spring looks a little rusty already. We got a little rust coming in the control arm ends here. I don't know what kind of paint those had, but not holding up too well. I didn't see any road salt yet, and those things are rusting. So otherwise, everything else looks pretty good. Of course, I got that subframe powder coated originally, and a bunch of these parts powder coated or Pour 15. I got 2K paint on the axles, and all that stuff's holding up really well. Otherwise, the skid plate saw a couple scratches, it looks like. Up here, we got no damage to our reverse cable wire. And then in the back, we have a lot of really fine scratches. So I'm thinking that's from us bottoming out all the time on that sandy stuff up by Newberry. We do have a little tick in the exhaust or something else. We'll talk about that in a little bit. For now, I think I'm going to drain the oil and do an oil change here while we're up in the air. I am about 10 miles short of the 1,000-mile oil break-in, and I think that's just fine for doing this. I don't think the 10 miles is going to make any difference. 1% of the break-in period. So while we're up here, we're going to drop the skid plate down, drain that oil out, take a look at it. How do you think it's going to look? I don't know. All right, how are we doing for dirt and rocks? We got quite a bit of dirt on the front end, but it's not obstructing anything. It's just there. What's it gonna look like? Pretty dark. Went in red. No sparkles, no chunks. Happy about that. Alright, we're about done. Click, click. Oh, jeez, it's just chock full of oil. What do you do about that? Oh, God. That's gross. We're going to write this on 58,560. And it is 9/20/24. I think I mentioned before, Clark's oil filters are the cheapest oil filters you can get for this thing. So definitely a good buy. We'll get her good and tight. If I'm honest with you, putting that skid plate back on is super easy actually. It just went on pretty well. So I think once those spacers are on there, it's going to be like no problem whatsoever. Just pop it on, pop it off. No big deal. We'll stick this car down, we'll put it on the pavement again, and I want to clean the whole outside of the car off. think it's finally time to investigate the tick in the exhaust or engine area. Let's flip this thing around, and I want to pull some plugs first. I have to be careful because I hear the tick on the right side and I feel like, oh, it's got to be the right cylinder bank. But I have to remember it's a single exhaust, so all the ticks from the left and the right side go all through that exhaust if it is an exhaust tick. If it's a lifter tick, it would be on the right or left side. Maybe slightly on the dark side, but I'm pretty happy with it. Let's take a look at our little friends. We have number 6. A little bit dark, but still pretty good. We get number 5, which is pretty close. It's a little bit dark as well, but still pretty good. And then we have number 1, which is oddly light, and I think it's running kind of lean. So we have something going on with number 1, as I suspected. That's the cylinder that I had issues with when I built the engine. I guess this may as well be a good time to tell you what I did to number 1 when I built the engine. When I built the engine, I made a couple of mistakes, but I think the biggest and stupidest mistake is rearing its head now. When I got the heads redone, the machine shop told me that there was on the piston ring land, underneath the copper head gasket, there was some pitting in there, and the pitting was going to be an issue, so they said just put some high temp epoxy in there. It'll dissipate heat fine, it won't have any issues. So I went home and I put epoxy in it, and then when it was curing I realized that I actually put normal temp epoxy in and I forgot to use high temp. And it was epoxy and it was curing already. So I decided to just run with it and see if it would have any issue, and it's having an issue. Predictably. So I think what's happening is that epoxy in there is getting really hot, higher than it's rated for, and the epoxy is either dissolving or just breaking down in there and creating a compression leak at the copper head gasket that's between the cylinder jug and the head. I still want to do a valve lash check just to make sure, and I want to do a compression test just to make sure, but I'm like 95% sure that's what's going on right now. There is no ticking on this side, so I'm not going to touch them. We'll go on the other side, we'll see if that one's ticking, and just make sure. It's pretty easy to tell when a lifter's ticking. I keep saying you can pull this off with the muffler in place and everything, and I'm wondering if I didn't have the shield on before. Maybe that's how I could get my hand in there. I don't think it's going to work today. Well, whatever data I got from this little experiment also points to not a lifter, probably the issue with the head gasket land. Not fun. We have a compression tester at work that I can borrow, so I'm going to repeat the same stuff I did this morning, unfortunately, to do that before I go home. And I only have about 45 minutes before I need to leave. I'm trying to make it to a road rally Zoom call tonight. I gotta get this done quick. I'm planning on only pulling the same 4 cylinders, same 4 spark plugs I should say. And that'll give me, I think, a good enough reading and accurate enough reading to know what's going on without having to worry about working around the carburetors and stuff like that. Well, the night has already become fun. I already broke off a spark plug, so I gotta go get one of those like ASAP. Well, anyway, we're getting new ones. Got 4 in stock, so I'll have just enough for what I'm doing, hopefully. 165. Number 2 is at 165 psi. Cylinder 6, 135. I'll try that one again. I think it just didn't pump up. We're looking at 160 now, which is, or 155 I should say. 155 is within 10%, so we're not worried about that. Number 5, looking at 162 thereabouts. We got the last one. He's waiting to hear. I'm waiting to hear. 150 even on the last one. It's within spec, but just barely. I don't know. Inconclusive. The one that had the issue with the piston ring was either that one or that one, and I think it went on this side. So I just tested all the ones that could possibly be based on the one that I repaired, and they're all within spec. This one is actually higher than number 6, so maybe that's not my tick. Maybe, could it be an exhaust tick? Could it be lifters? Forgot to turn the camera on. I turned this thing on and didn't hear any ticking. So we're sitting under here, and the one exhaust that was the question was not really having an issue. It's still cold, but let's hear how it revs up. You can hear that it kind of stumbles a little bit as it goes on, so something is not quite firing correctly. I'm going to go through all these, that just changed. I'm going to go through all these valves on this side. We'll see if everything is at a quarter turn. Hopefully it is. Alright, it's revving up a lot smoother. I'm a lot more happy with that. That one exhaust valve, for some reason the nut is a little bit loose, and I don't know why it's like that, but seems like it was adjusted pretty close to where it should be. I'm going to leave it. We'll run around a little bit like that on this side and see if the spark plugs look the same in the future. What I'm trying to come up with is a theory of why this thing, the valves may have been adjusted a little bit wrong. I'm wondering if the lifters maybe didn't pump up fully initially. It doesn't seem very likely, but I know that when people store these cars for a couple months even, the engine will start ticking really bad when they start it. And I'm wondering if maybe my lifters took a really long time to lift up and maybe clear some gunk out of the oil that was trapped in there. I don't know. It's the best theory I have right now. Just got done with work. I only have like a half an hour, but I want to take a look at this thing, see if I can nail down a potential compression leak, an oil leak, see if I can adjust some thermostats, something like that in the lower shrouds. Let's get this thing in there and get them off. We have a lot of oil underneath this skid plate. I think I want to wipe this thing off. I think we need to drop the skid plate first. Can you believe those are new shocks in the back and it still does that crap? We have some dripping on the cylinders, maybe 3 and 5, mostly 5. Got a couple tubes that are pretty nasty. I don't know. Here's number 1 that I was concerned about, and I don't see any evidence of a compression leak on the bottom of it. Actually, none of them have evidence of a compression leak. I wonder why that's all oily. That's not cool. How's the block look? Crankcase, pretty good. I did spray it with that rust inhibitor, so it is kind of yellow, but that's supposed to be yellow. You may recall from a previous video that we had a oil leak from the input shaft to the transmission and the diff, and it looks like it's still leaking there. I don't know how much was in there or if that's still leaking, but that's got some leaks on the diff as well. We have no clue what's going on with the oil leaks in here. I'll have to do some research with that. I don't know if I want to take this apart. I don't think I have time. I feel like I really haven't had a day off since even POR, so it's been almost all year that I haven't really been able to do what I want to do. So this weekend I'm taking the time to take this out. It's a 1976 Schwinn Stingray Bicentennial Edition, originally a white bike. They're pretty rare, and they only made them in 1976 for the American Bicentennial. They have different color grips, different head badge. They have red, white, and blue kind of stars and stripes decals on them originally. And this one is going to be a resto mod. The members, channel members, saw me kind of rebuilding the coaster brake hub on this bike, and I'm just trying to get this thing ready so I can go out and have a little fun with it before the end of the year. It's going to be snowing pretty soon before I know it, and I bought this bike in January in Detroit at the Son of Snowdrift rally. So it's been a long time sitting in the barn and not being able to be ridden. If you like seeing little side projects like that and updates on the projects a couple months even before they post on the regular channel, consider being a channel member. Alright guys, it's time to take care of some stuff before we go to Lake Superior Performance Rally to show this car off. I'm in the driver's rear wheel well, and we have a gap here where this weird piece of chassis is coming up to the outside fender, and we have the gap I want to fill with probably fiberglass. And then we have some tire rubbing right here, so I'm gonna have to hammer that in with a big hammer. Then we have a gap right here that some kind of seam was kind of splitting apart. Up here I got actually a lot of gross metal out of it, so I'm not sure where that came from, but definitely want to get that out of there. On the back side we have the battery box here. The new battery box never got sealed in here, so we're gonna have to go in, clean out whatever crap is in here, throw some cavity wax in there, and do seam sealer, probably some fiberglass on the bottom, get that thing sealed up nice. I am gonna have to go back in here and kind of repaint all of the wheel wells and everything back here, so I don't want to go too far, but I do want to get this thing sealed up well enough to survive the winter. I'll probably have to go do the other side as well. I had to leave for work, but Dad was kind enough to put the second coat of Por-15 on, and then he did, I think, 2 coats of rubberized undercoating. Let's take a look. Looking legit as hell, actually. I'm happy with it. Let's turn this a little bit. Yeah. Yeah, got in all the little pieces. Even got up in the corner. We're good to go. That puppy ain't going nowhere. I do see we have some cracking from my Bondo job. That's not good. But I have some metal pieces I can go and cut this out and replace it if I really need to. I gotta say the rally setup in here is coming along pretty nicely. We have 4 total USB ports, so we can charge 2 phones, run the TSD tablet, and on top of that we can charge GoPro batteries as well, 2 at a time. So all that can happen simultaneously. We have our ham radio plugged in here. We have our TSD Rally GPS up there. Right now I have to pick either or for power, but I can run them. I want to add another thing on the auxiliary fuse block so I can run both at once. Cool, we gotta go roll this thing out in the trailer. We got to leave about 12 hours from now, so it's time to get the wheel on. I have one more thing to do in here, and then we'll be out of here. And a lot more needed to be done, and it still needs to be done, but we got the car in a better situation. I appreciate you guys coming out to watch us, and appreciate anyone coming out to see the car in person at Lake Superior Performance Rally. We're going to head out and do stage captain duties. We got to go run a stage here, so let the race cars begin. Press on. Epilogue for you. It is currently Thanksgiving. I have confirmed that the fuel pump has again blown up. The first time it blew up was 1,000 miles after I got it on the road, and now it's been 1,000 miles more. It's almost exactly 1,000 miles between the fuel pump rupturing its diaphragm, I guess. So this time, instead of popping the entire Delphi fuel pump in, I'm actually going to take it apart and see what's going on. I think I might be able to just swap over the diaphragm from the new pump and not the whole thing, because I don't want to swap those brass fittings over every 1,000 miles. It could damage them eventually. Let's pop off the top cap on this fuel pump and see what's in there. Do I have to really take the entire pump out? Fuel pump is actually stuck onto the push rod, that's why. I'm going to do a top end rebuild on the fuel pump. We're going to keep the piece with all the fittings in it, and we're going to keep the base, and we're just going to replace the diaphragm part in the top and maybe even the screws. I don't know. Send all the crap that I don't want back to Rock Auto and let them deal with it. Got this thing together. I used the old center section, and the bottom and the top are new. I realized that since I used the new diaphragm, the new push rod needed to be cut down as well, because that's ends up being like 10.5 mil. I cut down to 5.5 mil to match the old kind of stock original pump length. Then again, it lasted the same 1,000 miles either way, so maybe I'm wasting my time. We got the new pump in, we got the lines hooked up. I think it's time to turn this thing on and see if it spurts fuel. Perfect. No fuel in my hand. I got the maintenance log updated so I know what mileage that went in, and I can do my return on the old one. Get that situated today, and let's talk about what we learned today, because I'm not sure what we really did learn. Clark's has been working on their new fuel pump for a couple of years now, and I can't wait for it to come out because I want a fuel pump that actually is reliable. When we pulled the old pump out, both times it didn't seem like it was damaged, really. I mean, there's nothing really to report as far as wear or damage or any kind of defect that was visible on the pump or in the pump. I did notice on the first pump that we had a longer push rod than was necessary, so I shortened that, and it didn't seem to make a difference on the duration of lifespan of the pump. So, did that make a difference? Did it not? I don't know. I did all I can, and I gotta keep going with whatever I can get. So I'm gonna be looking for different options for fuel pumps. I do have some parts car ones, but I don't want to put an old, like 50-year-old diaphragm in because they can rupture just as easily, and then there go your bearings. So I guess we're gonna end this on a kind of a cliffhanger. I don't know how long this one's gonna last. I did write the mileage on the pump so we can know, but we're gonna rally it and find out. Without further ado, let's head to the Black Friday rally and see what's up. Well, this hasn't gone well. We're stuck on the side of Highway 62. Car died in stop and go traffic, and it won't idle. So I pulled a plug wire off, put a spare plug into it, and it would get spark. So it's sparking, so I took a little fuel, I dumped fuel down the intake neck, and it will run for a little while, then it'll die. So I think we are not getting fuel pumping out. I'm not sure what to do else. I think the rally might be a bust tonight, but I'm gonna put a caution triangle out. We're gonna try to get this thing towed to somewhere safe. It's been a wild ride with this project. This thing's been sitting charging the battery for 24 hours now. Battery's fully charged. I figure before I go and go down the road of a new fuel pump, we should probably just pull the lines off and just double check the fuel pump is faulty, just so I don't waste time and money and effort. Not a drop. I'm calling this thing dead. And we do note that it is a different failure type than the last two pumps. The last two pumps were pumping properly, but they were spurting fuel out the top. This one is not actually pumping. So I think it might have to do with those two check valves inside the fuel pump. I may take it apart, I may not. Not a big deal. What I do know is there's a local fan of the channel, part of the local Corvair club, and he has offered to help me out with this. So let's go talk to him. I just got home and I just saw Michael pulling up just as I'm switching my shirt out. So he brought he's a Corvair owner. You want to tell him what you have?
I haven't decided which one I like, so I have quite a few at home. But
they tend to multiply?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's an addiction.
Well, he brought a new old stock fuel pump that came with this, was it Spider you said?
It came with a 64 Monza Spider that I had purchased. It was in the trunk with some other new parts.
Sweet. And this is a Napa unit. It's got a little metal tag on it, which you don't see anymore. And here's our box and part number in case you're looking for one on eBay or something. I think we should swap the little fittings over real quick, pop this thing in and see how it goes.
Yep.
You can't run the car if you can't get fuel to the car.
That means it's pumping fuel.
Yes, it is. It's actually a really good test because that's how I tested the last one.
Try it again. my first car was a Corvair in high school, and I should have stuck with that, but I went peer pressure, got into the water bumpers and all that stuff with my friends. We had fun.
Yeah.
And now, I don't know, life's going a full circle. I'm back to where I started, and like I said, I want them all.
Yeah.
The bike trail now?
Oh, there we go. Yeah. Yeah, so well, I think it worked out.
Car ran great.
I think it handled pretty well too, so I'm pretty impressed with the Corvairs in the snow. And you said you'd never really driven one in the snow since you were a kid?
No, not well. It's been over 30 years. So
well, always another time to revisit the old memories, and yeah,
it was a nice, safe drive, except for the deer.
I only got it sideways just a little bit once, but hey, I appreciate.
I'm glad that worked.
Yeah. I'm gonna drive it around, do some more testing before I go down to Red Wing, but it looks pretty good so far.
That's the whole deal with the Corvair community, I guess.
Yeah.
Everyone's got to help everyone else out.
I appreciate it. It seems like I end up with the cars with the good communities. I don't know if it's just because I avoid Camaros or it's because I go toward Corvairs and Saabs, but something works out, and I really appreciate it.
Because Corvair guys are so lonely, we want friends.
The same with this. They're like 3 Saab guys, you know, so we got to stick together.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. Well, I appreciate it again, and I'm going to go make my own memories with that car.
I'm going to drive an hour and a half back home.
Appreciate it.
You're welcome.
What's in my father's house? Many mansions. We got it. Let's go write it down over here. And off to the next one. I'm going to hand this to him. He writes them down on the score sheet. We'll shut the doors and we're on to the next one. Hopefully we are going to do well on this.